All right, this video, I just want to spend a few moments looking at Cleopatra's death. We have the end here, Act 5, Scene 2, Cleopatra. Why that's the way to fool their preparation and to conquer their most absurd intents. So Cleopatra has it all planned out with the asps, the clown that brings them in, right? The snakes. And here's where what Cleopatra says. Now, Charmian, show me my woman like a queen. Go fetch my best attires. I am again for Sidnus to meet Mark Antony. And a few notes here from a couple of really great essays. The dramatization of Cleopatra's death is prefaced by a direction to the actors on how to play the scene and a direction to the audience on how to perceive it. After Cleopatra has seen the last of Caesar and his emissaries, after she has spoken her last words about the management of her temporal affairs, she cries in excitement and relief, "Now, Charmian, show me my woman like a queen. Go fetch my best attires. I am a gid for Sidnus to meet Mark Antony." It is not surprising that so perceptive a critic as Bradley A.C. Bradley. This is in the uh, his essay on Antony and Cleopatra, recognizes the hint given here and uses it to characterize the Cleopatra of the death scene as the queen who puts her conqueror to scorn and goes to meet her lover in the splendor that crowned and robed her long ago, when her barge burnt on the water like a burnished throne, and she floated to Cydnus on the enamored stream to take him captive forever. But Duncan Harris, in his article, the title is Again for Cydnus, the dramaturgical resolution of Antony and Cleopatra. He says, but what Bradley does not recognize, and what we can see only by placing the stage direction in the context of the persistent dramaturgical pattern of the play, is that the actual presentation on the stage of the vision scene at Cydnus offers us a complete visual verification of the claims of the poetry. Cleopatra's death is not an isolated moment of the peculiar kind of grandeur. The scene is the delayed presentation of Enobarbus's vision of her infinite variety. So again, that statement, the death here, Cleopatra's death, everything she does, she prepares. It's another example of Cleopatra's infinite variety, right? And then we see this here in these moments too. In order to understand why this relationship between Enobarbus' description of the meeting at Cydnus and the presentation of Cleopatra's death is so consequential, we can examine his speech, which we've done. We've done that in the Enobarbus part, so we could skip that a little bit later. Not only we need the last scene to show us, so these scenes surrounding Enobarbus's recollection. Remember when Enobarbus is describing Cleopatra as a woman of infinite variety and how she has entranced and made Antony fall in love with her. That meeting at Cydnus enforces again the tension between showing and telling, emphasizes the problem of judgment. We need the last scene to show us the reality of the Cleopatra whom Enobarbus describes. Not only the context of the speech, but the characteristics of the speech itself ask for a presentation of the queen it invokes. Although the speech vivifies Cleopatra, it actually says little about her specifically. We are treated to nothing resembling the traditional catalog of the sonneteer celebrating his mistress' beauties. We encounter an altogether different kind of description, one of her power, her attractiveness, her dominance of her setting. We hear about the ship, its sails, its oars, its crew. We hear about her effect on the townspeople and on Antony. Yet that burnished throne is empty. So this is, the Harris is looking at this scene, comparing it to Enobarbus's description when Cleopatra first met Antony. Like Cleopatra's evocations of Antony, Enobarbus's description of the Egyptian queen offer effect and qualities, physical in the sense that they concern sensual beauty and earthly power and sexuality, but abstract as well. For we, the audience, must create a vision of the characters they compose, a counter vision to what we see on the stage throughout most of the play. And here's the connection to the death scene here. So Cleopatra's death scene finally shows us what we have been asked to envision, but it does more than show us the Cleopatra of Enobarbus' famous lines. a woman of infinite variety. Not only the meaning on the river Cydnus, but also the special qualities of the lovers embodied in their distinctive language, the image of Antony created in Cleopatra's eulogies, and the lovers' death haunted dreams of each other are finally and convincingly substantiated on the stage. Remember, Antony, I dreamed that. Or Cleopatra, I dreamed that Antony was the emperor. These dreams, it's this loving obsession. The source of the scene's seemingly magical power is its visual presentation of those poetic passages which remain in the mind long after the play is done. Cleopatra's death, like her appearance at Cydnus, is measured, formal, regaling herself in her royal robes, those which she earlier wore to such great effects at Cydnus when she beggared all description. She readies herself for death. Right here. Give me my robe, put on my crown. I have immortal longings in me, right? This is great here. Her suicide has nothing haphazard about it. She is the jewel of the setting, as she was in that royal barge where her gentlewomen made their beds adorning. Antony, too, we remember, is a jewel whom the injurious gods stole. Just before dying, Charmian attends to the last detail, making sure that the vision is perfect. Your crown's awry. I'll mend it and then play. When Caesar finally enters the monument after Cleopatra's death, he underlines the special qualities of the scene we are witnessing and reinforces another group of earlier images peculiar to the lovers. He looks first for some derangement, some sign of violence to tell him what has happened. The Roman intruders find nothing until Dolabella discovers the bite of the asp on Cleopatra's breast and the marks it left as it disappeared. There is no, quote, external swelling, nothing to upset the careful visual arrangement of the pageant, right? She looks as the same, she looks the same as, if we go to that moment, it's such a great moment. Right here, yeah, she looks like sleep, as if she would catch another Antony. Such a great moment. After emphasizing the perfecting effect on Charmian's last act by his mundane search for cause and effect, Caesar finally recognizes and verbalizes for us that we have been seeing that Cleopatra, who might yet catch another Antony in her strong toil of grace. This deathly magnetism reminds us explicitly of the scene at Cydnus, where Cleopatra first won Antony, and where her splendor attracted all the people of the city, leaving Antony alone, enthroned in the marketplace. We remember, too, Antony's vision of meeting Cleopatra in Elysium. Before dying, he calls out to her, "Stay for me." Remember, this is when Antony was dying. "Stay for me where souls do couch on flowers. We'll, hand in hand, and with our sprightly port, make the ghosts gaze. Dido and her Anytus shall want troops, and all the haunt be ours." In Cleopatra's death, we are privileged to see at last what the poetry has made us desire for so long to believe. Cleopatra's death is like her crowning performance on her life, right? This scene of Cleopatra's death affirms in other ways the qualities described in the poetry. Enobarbus has given us a supremely physical Cleopatra, a natural object which surpasses, quote, that Venus where her see the fancy outwork nature, end quote. In her description of her dream of Antony, she makes the same point about him. Nature, this is Cleopatra on Antony, right? Nature wants stuff to vie strange forms with fancy. Yet to imagine an Antony were nature's peace against fancy, condemning shadows quite. Now, in the reality of Cleopatra's death, the shadows of fancy are far outgone by what we see. The stage presents what the poetry has evoked, and by doing so underlines the physical and natural reality of the lovers. Cleopatra has consistently placed Antony in the context of the terrestrial world in her eulogies: earth, ocean, world, spheres, orb, thunder, winter, autumn, element, and realms and islands. These are all in Act 5, Scene 2. These are the measures in the context of Antony's greatness. Not gods, not supernatural feats, no golden underground, nor isle melodious. The world is his place and his measure, however much he may surpass the ordinary. And here's a really important moment. When it comes time for Cleopatra to die, she is not elevated to a status beyond nature. To become a goddess would be to deny all that she has been. Rather, she incorporates and epitomizes those temporal roles which have been hers. She is mother, wife, queen, lover. She goes to meet in death the curled Antony, not the immortal, nor even the noble. The state after death which both have envisioned is clearly in evidence, and it differs remarkably little from their lives in the senses. Even Antony's dream of his meeting with Cleopatra in Elysium and of their theft of the followers of Dido and Anytus is a recollection of the scene at Cydnus, a scene which actually happened. Their immortality is strongly physical. Cleopatra hurries toward death to receive that kiss which is my heaven to have, to receive that kiss from the man who has kissed away kingdoms. The conclusion of Antony and Cleopatra is a triumph of dramatic emphasis. From the first scene of the play, we see the protagonists act foolishly, and we hear the appropriate judgments of their actions. Not until the last scene, however, do we encounter a similar alignment of words and deeds which confirms their gigantic heroism. The audience leaves the theater with the last vision of Cleopatra in its eyes, finally and totally triumphant over Caesar, ultimately embodying on the stage what the poetry had so long promised. Caesar, in defeat, acquiesces to the reality presented. And this is his acquiesce right here, right? He offers no condemning words, no balanced judgment to corrupt Cleopatra's pageant. The one judgment he makes, no grave upon earth shall clip in it a pair so famous, right? That's it. No grave upon the earth shall clip in it a pair so famous is utterly neutral in terms of moral value. Yet the last scene denies nothing of what we have previously seen and heard. There is no attempt, as there is in the earlier tragedies, to untangle the confusion of values. No Claudius is revealed as a villain. No Desdemona is discovered to be chaste, as in Othello. The satisfaction we derive from the conclusion of Antony and Cleopatra does not come from watching characters clarify for each other the motives, meanings, and values obfuscated throughout the play. Here the conclusion is far more limited. We have only the affirmation of the value of the lovers' lives and deaths. That affirmation cannot counsel Philo's first judgment of the peerless twain, and from a viewpoint which ignores dramatic time, it can at best aid to it. But from the perspective of an audience participating in the play, that affirmation follows and supersedes the ethical commentary. If Shakespeare's resolution of the conflict between telling and showing succeeds, and Duncan Harris believes it does, then we, like Caesar, are moved to a conclusion without judgment. But you can kind of see what Harris argues. Cleopatra's death is the final crown jewel, making her, the hero of the play and enabling Antony and Cleopatra's immortality throughout.